Hello, everyone, and welcome to Signature Talk to Experts Tuesday. We are so thrilled to have all of you here today. This is an exclusive webinar series designed to give all of you an hour with a few of our experts within the Click organization. You can use this time to ask them questions about the topic at hand. So we do have a few housekeeping items for today. Everyone is muted, so please use the Q&A panel to ask your questions. We will not necessarily be using the panel to respond to your questions, as we are going to try to get to everyone's questions live today. If we don't get to your question, or if it's something that may take some time to research, we will follow up with you accordingly. If you jumped on to get your question answered and then you have to leave, that's okay. The recording will be posted out in the Click community on the Talk to Experts Tuesday program page. I will make sure to show all of you where that is a little bit later during the session. Also, once you exit the session, a survey will pop up. Please fill the survey out and give us some feedback on improving these sessions for you or suggesting another topic you would like to see in the future. You will also be able to give a shout out to any of our panelists for today. Again, all of your feedback is appreciated and the survey takes less than a minute. During today's sessions, we will not be able to answer any specific questions regarding an open case. And again, we do ask that you keep the questions related to the topic at hand. So today's topic is migrating from QlikView to QlikSense SaaS. Some of you might be in the process of migrating or maybe wondering the best steps to take. Some of you might have already even migrated. So wherever you're at in your journey, our experts are here to help you. Let us know what kind of questions you have about migrating or maybe some of the differences between QlikView and QlikSense SaaS using the Q&A panel below. So while we wait for you all to enter in your questions, I will go ahead and take this time to introduce the panel for today. Joining me, I have Julia Kipperberg, Product Manager, Ian Crossland, Senior Director of Product Management, Jay Brown, Senior Technical Support Engineer within Signature Support, and Klaus Lindsefors, Customer First Software Architect, and Johan Jensen, Senior Director of Client Managed. Julia, will you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jamie. So like Jamie said, my name is Julia Kipperberg. I'm based in Massachusetts. I am the product manager for QlikView, Accessibility, and Client Manage. And I've been at Click for about a month.
Welcome, Julia. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Ian.
Thanks, Jamie. Ian Crossland. I'm one of the product management team. So I lead the analytics pillar. So everything on the analytics side of Click is within my my product management team. So I've been at Click for 15 years now. I joined Click just as we were releasing QlikView version 7.2. So
oh, wow.
a few versions.
Thank you. Jay.
Hey everyone, I'm Jay Brown and I've been with Click for about 5 years. I'm based out of the Raleigh office. I'm in Signature Support and I focus on, fixing, broken issues as well as delivering proactive insights and solution-driven outcomes.
Great, thank you. And Klaus.
Klaus Lindsefors, working in Customer First R&D here in Lund, Sweden. My main focus is problem investigations when things comes in from customers, both on QlikView, on-prem, and SaaS.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Johan.
All right. So my name is Johan Jansson. I've also been with Click same time as Ian. We must have joined roughly the same time, 15 years now. And I'm currently leading the teams in R&D that are responsible for QlikView and QlikSense Enterprise for Windows and then printing as well. So what we call the client managed analytics part.
Great, thank you. All right, so everyone, my name is Jamie Gregory. I'm a Senior Technical Support Engineer here at Click, and I will be obviously moderating this session for you all today. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and have been with Click for about 3.5 years, and I primarily live out in the Click community, where you'll see me in the Click Support Updates blog, where I communicate product updates, critical issues, share articles and videos, and just let you know what's happening with support in general. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our questions. We didn't get too many questions during our registration, so if you, again, use the Q&A panel to get your questions in, but we'll go ahead and start with what we have. So the first question is, we have years of development work in our QVWs. We don't want to start from scratch. How can we leverage our previous development and put that into ClickSense SaaS?
I can kick it off if you like, Jamie.
Sure,
and then,
thank you.
Folks can join in. So absolutely. So we've obviously got thousands of ClickView customers. We've got now a lot of ClickView customers that are running their ClickView applications in our SaaS environment. So they're literally just picking up that QVW and put it straight in SaaS and use that as their consumption model. So the advantage of that is it's helping our customers reduce the size of the footprint they have in their on-premise environment. So there's a large financial tier 1 bank that we deal with that's got a mixture of ClickView, ClickSense. They've actually got 96,000 servers in an on-premise environment. And they have, as a company, decided to go SaaS first to reduce that footprint that they have and push more of that managed environment to other areas. And they're actually combining with AWS, with Azure, Google, and others. So, you know, they're looking to reduce the size of the footprint. If you think about, you might have a multi-node environment for ClickView deployment, you could actually reduce the size of that footprint to be just a pump engine, i.e. reloading those QVWs and pushing them into the spaces on SaaS. So there's that piece there. You can just pick it up and move it. The other piece is we've got a lot of customers who are moving to ClickSense as their actual analytical reporting, you know, footprint. They've been in ClickView for years. They're migrating the apps as they go. The key point is that the actual model itself, the hard work that they've done in the script, the hard work that they've done in creating those QVD layers, you know, in a 3-tier architecture, all of that you can just pick up and move to SaaS. So sorry, to ClickSense, and on ClickSense on SaaS if you wish. It's exactly the same. It's the same engine under the covers. All of that functionality that they're used to, they can bring across. We do have, you know, little migration tools as well in the Dev Hub on client managed Windows, which helps with migrating certain objects. But I think a lot of customers take this as an opportunity to do an information rationalization, to understand what they're actually reporting on. They could have redundant applications that people are not using. We provide governance apps which can actually say, look, you built this app 3 years ago and it's had like 2 people using it in 3 years. Is it really of value to your organization? And it could be consuming memory. We've got analysis apps which can tell you how much, you know, how many objects are in an application, how much memory it's using. So it's a good opportunity to do that rationalization process. You could maybe slim down your click estate in terms of the amount of apps just by going through that process. And then over time, you know, we're not forcing people to do this like tomorrow. Lots of customers are running in that hybrid environment where they've got a mixture of ClickView and ClickSense applications. And over time, they migrate more of those apps to ClickSense. They may want to have that mobile responsive experience, which is why they look towards ClickSense to be able to do that. And a lot of the features that we provide in that. So key message is you can pick your ClickView app right now, put it in SaaS. You can reuse your scripts, your models, that 3-tier architecture you may have created with QVDs. You can reuse all that. There is a light touch migration tool you could have a look at in the Dev Hub within ClickSense. But take it as an opportunity to rationalize and analyze what you're doing, and then you can migrate over time into that ClickSense environment.
Perfect. Does anyone else have anything to add? No, that was excellent, Ian. Thank you. Okay. So the next question, how do I implement a 3-tier architect extract, transform, data model presentation in ClickSense? Does anyone have any guidance for the best way to get ramped up in ClickSense?
Yeah, I could jump in again. I don't,
Okay.
I don't know on the show. They'll get bored of hearing me. So again, if you've built that architecture within ClickView, it's pretty much the same deal. So you can have that extraction headless ClickSense app, which is literally just there churning, creating QVDs. QVDs can be created in a whole manner of different repositories, and it can be the same script. So if you've built like a headless ClickView app, which is creating QVDs, if it's just like an operational data store of QVDs, dumping the raw data out, you can just reuse that. You can literally just have, and it's the same QVDs, right? And you can just translate that script into a ClickSense app. Then if you're going to the next layer where you may be creating that aggregated view, doing a bit more work in the script to either create a conforming dimensional model, or creating aggregations, or creating business function QVDs, like a bunch of sales QVDs, a bunch of finance QVDs. Again, if you built the script in ClickView, you can just reuse all of that within ClickSense. And then the final piece, binary load, where you're binary loading potentially what you're going to use as the model to build the visualizations on top. Again, binary load, exactly the same, supported between ClickView and ClickSense. Clearly, the presentation layer is radically different. ClickSense is a whole new paradigm in terms of how the visualizations are rendered behind the scenes. Smart folks on the call can talk about the differences between ClickView and ClickSense. The types of charts that you have, pretty much the same. The properties, pretty much the same. We still got a few gaps. That is, we're not going to hide behind that. There's still a few gaps there. We do have a program to plug those gaps. One of the most popular features that that came out, which has been around in ClickView forever, feels like ClickView 8, I think, spark lines. We brought that into ClickSense. The ability to reuse, master items, reuse expressions from master items. That the expression library is something, within ClickSense that you can have that reusable content. And again, it's just a matter of building those visualizations. Key message: 3-tier architecture, absolutely applicable as you built in ClickView to ClickSense. A huge amount of things you can reuse from the models. Don't worry, binary load, it's still there, hasn't gone away in ClickSense, and you can use that. And also, if you're doing that in a SaaS context, exactly the same.
Perfect. Thank you. So the next couple questions are pretty similar, and they kind of tie back into the first question as well, but we'll go ahead and read them off. So the next question is, do we have to go to ClickSense SaaS? What about ClickSense, which I assume they mean on-prem? And is it easy to leverage what we have created in ClickView and move it to ClickSense? And then the next question after that was, can we use both on-prem and cloud? So maybe they want to move from ClickView to both ClickSense and ClickSense SaaS.
I can take that question, Jamie.
Sure.
So, back to Ian's point, you don't have to go to ClickSense SaaS. It's there for you if that's something that you feel your company and your organization is ready for. We do have the ability to obviously view ClickView apps in ClickSense SaaS. So it's a great thing to utilize. I think it's also very easy to leverage, obviously, what you've created in ClickView with all of the tools that Ian had mentioned, as well as, just the ability to actually view your apps in ClickSense SaaS. So that's easy to leverage everything that you've already built. And you absolutely can use both on-prem and cloud, depending on what your data needs are, where your data is stored, and kind of, again, the organization's view and how things need to be, stored.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Julia. Okay. So again, everyone use the Q&A panel, get your questions in. We do have all of our experts on the line here for you. And we'll go ahead. We have one more question that we got during the registration, so we'll go ahead and go through that. And all right, so the question is, can you share a success story or two about current clients that have made the move? How did they go about migrating, and did they have successful user adoption?
So I can speak a little bit about this from the support perspective. I won't name any names, but I can tell you that we've had some big pharma and some big finance companies that have run dual environments, ClickView and ClickSense, kind of at the same time during their migration and adoption. And I can tell you that the feedback from moving to Sense has been, it's been great feedback. They've been, the customers and the end users have been excited about it. As far as how did they go about migrating, they stood up they had both environments running at the same time and kind of moved things over slowly. And as they adopted the newer platform, they were able to kind of, see the similarities between the apps existing in both environments. As far as having a successful user adoption, yeah, the feedback's been very positive, and they were, everyone that I've spoken to has been pleased about it.
Great. Does anyone else have any other stories?
I can talk briefly about one. We had a
Sure.
fairly large government deal where basically they've been using ClickView for a very long time, and they started using the ClickView part of ClickSense in SaaS, and slowly first moving over to SaaS and starting to use that, and then starting to build their next apps more in the Sense area. So kept on using what they already had on ClickView and not modifying those, but rather building their next files and their new applications in Sense. And that's been very well received, and it's been a very active customer with a lot of good feedback. So yeah.
Perfect. Great. Thank you both. Okay, so we do have a question that just came in. So let's see. We have apps that are more than a gig. Does the tool support, does it support the tool that we use from the ClickView Converter? I think they're wondering if the ClickView Converter will support apps that are more than a gig. When it comes to ClickSense SaaS, we are not notified if we have any upgrade on SaaS, and then there are some issues and there are no release notes. Can we know which algorithm the product is using on the SaaS upgrade? So there's a couple questions in there. So the first one, we have apps that are more than a gig, and does the ClickView Converter support this, or is there a better way to migrate those?
I can answer that. I mean, the ClickView Converter doesn't really care about the data model size. You can convert. It's the UI it works with. So yes.
Okay.
It will support that.
Okay. If you're having any issues with some apps that are, maybe you're having trouble with them, you definitely have excellent resources within Signature support. So maybe if you want to reach out to your CSM or create a case with Signature support, maybe they can help you out with that. And then the next question, they're just, wondering about release notes for ClickSense SaaS and what is the schedule for
can I share my screen, Jamie? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and stop.
So on ClickSense SaaS, we have continuous release. So every Tuesday, pretty much. So every Tuesday we will be releasing new functionality. So we've got a what's new page in terms of what's coming in SaaS editions of ClickSense. The on-premise software is released every quarter. But in terms of, so you can get a heads up of what's coming, you can actually subscribe to an RSS feed on our help site. So as you can see this morning, European time, we released a couple of extra features, which is the locale creation and also some extra pieces for alerting, and you can look back in history of what was released. And then ahead of time, Trello, as part of the YouTube channel of Click, which you can subscribe to, we do a ClickSense in 60, and also what's coming in SaaS, a 60-second update of what will be released within SaaS. And on this channel as well, you can see a whole bunch of extra pieces which will talk you through what's just been delivered, what's coming down the line, and also some best practice piece. And then when you actually log into your SaaS environment as well, there is a little bubble down here, a click icon, which says, what's new. Actually, within here, you can get a whole bunch of extra pieces, submit an idea from ideation, explore some demos, look at the events and webinars. But if we look at what's new, I get my SAS in 60. I won't play it because you'll hear Mr. Trello blasting out. But you can then click on that to understand exactly what you're getting. So summarize, we've got a What's New page. Subscribe to the RSS feed to get a little sneak preview and a bit more detail. There's a YouTube channel as well. And then in product announcements will help you understand what's been delivered on that particular Tuesday. But yeah, pretty much every Tuesday we are delivering to SAS.
Okay, perfect. And I did put the link in the chat for that page, so everyone should have access to that. Okay, does everyone see the PowerPoint? Okay, perfect. Thank you. And they did follow up to the first question that they had about the ClickView Converter tool. They said that they have apps that are 3 gigs, and it states that the tool supports only 500 megs and not beyond. As a workaround right now, they are reducing the data using the loop and reducing and converting for now.
Well, in that case, we're probably talking about the moving them to Sense QCS.
Okay.
Rather than the actual ClickView to ClickSense converter, because what Claes mentioned was the converter for a file on-prem to convert it from ClickView to ClickSense. That one has no limitations in size.
Okay.
However, I'm guessing that what the 500 megabyte is here is the limitation that they're seeing on SAS, and it has nothing to do with the actual conversion.
It's just when they import the file in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though we have, just to be clear, we removed that 500 meg limit. It depends on how you're doing the upload, I guess. So Click Data Transfer is an on-premise agent which can be used to reload and then push applications. There was an API which did have a 500 meg limit, but if you pull the latest version, I think it's 6 gigabyte now. So hopefully you couldn't see that limitation.
Okay. So maybe try that one again, and then let us know if you still see a limitation. Maybe there's something else that we're not thinking of, but hopefully that has been cleared up for you. Okay. He said, sure, more accurate answer. Perfect. Okay. Again, use the Q&A panel. That was all the questions that we had in the registration. So if anyone has any more questions, use the Q&A panel. We have our experts on the line. If we're, not going to get any more questions, then we might just end the session a little bit early. But there are a couple things that I can just review right now. On the screen right now, you should see a QR code for the next Signature Talk to Experts Tuesday session. That is on June 22nd at same time, 10 a.m. Eastern. And it's on demystifying click and printing tasks. Johan, I don't know if you'll want to join that one, but maybe. And then I'll just show everyone really quickly out in the Click community where everything kind of lives. So if we go here to support and then programs, Talk to Experts Tuesday, there is this past events tab, and you'll see the recordings for the signature sessions. Everything gets posted here. And then they do have a timestamp for the questions as they come in. So you can easily just click on the timestamp to get to the question for the answer. And then just a little shameless plug about the support updates blog. This is where I communicate updates happening in Click support. This is general Click support. It's not specific to signature support, but anytime there's a release, even talking about the cloud releases, I usually do blog about those releases. Like today, there will be a ClickView blog coming out because May 2021 was released today. So you will see updates like that. So you can subscribe to the blog and get email notifications when blogs are live. We do anything, anytime there's an issue or anything like that. Anytime, something happens in SaaS, we try to blog it as well. So you'll find a lot of information, useful information, like we had security patches this, last week that were released. So there's blogs about that. So a little shameless plug there. Can someone talk just briefly about the new QlikView 2021 or May 2021 release?
Yeah, I can say a few words about that. So it's coming out today. It's actually being moved over to the download site as we speak. So in a few hours should be available. A whole bunch of bug fixes, a whole bunch of new features and improvements that we've done there as well. One of the major ones that pop into my head, of course, is the support for the QVF file format. So once you've done the upload of a file to SaaS, it gets converted to QVF, and we can now download the file again and open it in desktop so that you can troubleshoot it or continue to look at it on your local desktop. That's just one of the features, but the one that I find most fascinating myself. All right.
Thank you, Johan. All right. We'll do a last call for any questions. If you have any questions about QlikView, QlikSense, QlikSense SaaS, let's go ahead and use this time with our experts. Like I said, we do have quite the extensive background for QlikSense and QlikView on the call right now. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A panel. And if not, then we will see you all next month. Again, June 22nd for demystifying Qlik end printing tasks. If you are not signed up, I don't have, well, obviously you can scan the QR code, but you can always reach out to your CSM for the schedule of sessions. We do have the signature Talk to Experts Tuesday sessions on a monthly basis, and then we do have the general sessions happening once or twice a month, depending on the month. And those are on various topics as well. All right, if there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead. Oh, such a wonderful meeting. Thank you everyone for your contribution. You're welcome. All right, so we'll go ahead and end the session early. If you guys have any questions, if anyone on the call has any more questions, just feel free to reach out to your CSM. We can get them to our experts here. And again, my name is Jamie Gregory. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Johan, Klaus, Ian, Julia, and Jay. We'll see you guys next month. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jamie. Bye.
Bye-bye.